that's how we do democracy. Thank you. Thank you, Scouts. Oh, Scouts, before you leave, I have a question for you. Last year I could buy 5 boxes for 20 bucks of Girl Scout cookies, and this year it's only 4. What y'all doing with my other box? Where is that other box? So thank you, Scouts, very much. And I have to say that the Scouts cannot support a political party, but they can help out with civic events like this. So that's why they're assisting us in our town hall right now. So why are we doing a town hall? Why are we all of a sudden concerned about town halls? We're doing town halls, and why you guys came out here tonight on your Wednesday night is because there is something wrong with the administration. Something seriously, thank you, yes. Feel free to put up your I agree. There's something seriously wrong with the administration. Thank you. And when people feel like there's something seriously wrong with a thing, they gather, like we're doing tonight, to find out what is wrong with that thing and what we're going to do about that thing. That's why we're here tonight. We did invite Mr. Reichert to this event. He did decline. But since it matters that we're here tonight, figuring out what is the thing that's wrong with our administration, we're going to conduct this town hall anyway. So thank you for coming. So the format tonight is we're going to have some brief speakers. They're going to come up here and say a few things to you. We're going to have some council members, which we are extremely honored to have council members. We have King County, Kent, and Covington. Thank you so much, council members, for coming and meeting with constituents. Thank you so much. We also have a Kent Council candidate and a potential candidate for 31st LD. It's very exciting. We also have a speaker from Indivisible and someone from the 8th Congressional District Democrats to speak to you. So we're going to go ahead and do that program. So I'm going to invite the first person up, and that's Chris Petzold from Indivisible. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Catherine for organizing this. Warrior woman. Thank you, Chair. So my name is Chris Petzold, and I live in Issaquah, but I actually grew up here, like here in Covington. I went to Kentwood High School. Go Conks! In yeah. I had great schools, great family, great upbringing, basically a lot of privilege that I am just now starting to awaken to. And one of the things that woke me up was a little bit of a shock that I had on November 8th of last year. When Donald J. Trump was elected as President of the United States and leader of the free world. So everything that makes up my foundation, I felt was under attack. For 8 days following the election, I wore all black until I had to do my laundry. For the month of November and December, I basically cried in my pillow every night. Just, what do I do? What do I do? On January 3rd, I was on my way home in my car, and I listened to Rachel Maddow on the radio there. And on that night, she had this guy on named Ezra Levin. And Ezra was a former congressional staffer who was in his role in Congress when the Tea Party rose up and blocked everything that Obama was trying to do. And Ezra and his friends, and they're working through their stages of grief, they wrote this document called the Indivisible Guide. You may have read it. Apparently it was full of typos. I didn't know. So before I even got home, before that show was even over that night, I decided I'm going to make one of those groups. And so I started it 3 days later. Yeah. So my sister, who doesn't even live in the district, she was my first member. And I whispered to her, what if nobody joins? Quite a few people joined, and many of you are in the room here. Hey guys, hey there. And we are joining together with more than 6,000 other groups organized across this country. There's more than one in every single congressional district in the United States. So what are we doing? We're doing the blocking and tackling work. while the Democrats and the other, organizing parties are rallying the offense as we go into 2018. So the Indivisible Guide calls for 4 basic tactics. Having town halls like this, preferably one where the congressman actually shows up. Public rallies, vigils, protests, no congressional photo ops without questions about racism, authoritarianism, and corruption. We have in-person visits with the congressman and at his office. And we have coordinated calls about topics that are going on. So we did all of this, and we saved the ACA. So I have been, and I still am, a little bit shy about taking credit for that, but as the dust settles, more and more is coming out that it's actually our citizen constituent activism that made the difference. It made the difference in saving the ACA and blocking Trump's agenda. So in our group, we did everything. We called and called, we marched, we met with Dave Reichert, we staked out his office and his public appearances, and we had some fun. So I just heard this last night. There's a cure for our despair, and it's called democracy. So the message to Congressman Reichert is we can't stop, we won't stop, and we're not going to stop until you quit being a rubber stamp to Donald Trump's agenda. So think about what you care about. What pieces of your foundation are under attack? What part of you is crying out in despair? Go to theindivisibleguide.com, find a local group, and let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dave up the road is late, so we're just going to proceed without him, and he can join in when he gets here. So the next person we're going to hear from is Brian Kesterson from the 47th District Democrats. He's just going to come up and speak very briefly to you about the 47th District Democrats.
Hello. So first of all, I'd like to welcome you to the 47th. On behalf of the 47th District Democrats, we're very happy to have you here. How many of you want to see Dave Reichert defeated? How many of you think he can be defeated? And now the hard question, how many of you think it's going to be easy? Okay, so along with talking to, so the 47th District Democrats exist for organizing grassroots people in the Democratic Party, trying to help elect people at all levels, from municipal all the way up to the congressional district. So we have our meetings, by the way, on the first Wednesday of every month. We're at the IAM Hall next to the train station in Auburn. We'd love to see you there. I've also been asked to do what we lovingly refer to in the biz as the ask, which is to say that it's not going to be easy to defeat Dave Reichert. It's going to take work, and it's going to take money. The stuff that you see around you, none of this is free. We went into debt to put this on, so we will need your help. If we can get a few bucks from everybody, we can pay for the chairs. If we get a few more, we can pay for the hall. If we get 10 or 20 bucks, we can do this again. We can put these on again, and we can keep organizing and keep working. So this is essential that we, it's an uncomfortable thing, but it's important to keep going. You will find on every other chair, you will see that there are envelopes. This is something that the PDC requires so that we keep track of where we got the money. And if you could fill that out and put in a few bucks, it would be greatly appreciated. And if some of my remit fairies could go and pass some around to the people in the back, that would be greatly appreciated. I see some people with hands up back there, and it is greatly appreciated. It takes work, and it takes, unfortunately, it does take money, and so we want to raise it from grassroots people like yourselves. It also takes a good candidate. Hopefully, we will have one of those in the next 2 years. That's sure that there are people who are looking at that even as we speak. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Santiago Ramos run again. And with that, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you so much. I believe Dave has arrived. Has Dave arrived? Mr. Dave Up the Grove is here, I believe. Come on up. Thank you. King County Council, come to speak to you now. Thank you so much. Oh, that's okay. I just put you on the spot.
Sure.
All right.
I'm a politician. That's what I do.
Thank you. Just 3 minutes and we'll jump in.
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, hi. As she mentioned, my name is Dave Up the Grove, and after 12 years in the State House and 1 term on the King County Council, I am best known for one thing. I am the only elected official in the state of Washington with a prepositional phrase for a last name. If you remember your English classes. And Lord knows if I'm any good at this, but I've got this cool last name, so people keep voting for me, so I'll take it. 10 years ago, my father unexpectedly lost his vision. He went blind. And one morning recently, I set my alarm clock for about 4:30 a.m., and I scooped my dad up, and we drove up to Seattle, and we jumped into the cold water of Lake Washington. And with me swimming next to him, we swam a half a mile. Then we got on a tandem bicycle, and we pedaled for 12.5 miles. And then with me at his side, we ran a 5K. And my father, at age 75 and blind, successfully completed Seattle's Seafair Triathlon. I realized as we're coming across the finish line that my dad was demonstrating an important truth, that working together, we can overcome any obstacle. And these are tough times right now. The Trump administration and their allies and people like Dave Reichert present a real challenge. But if we work together, whether we're Democrats, whether we're progressive independents, whether we're disenchanted Republicans, we can overcome this challenge. Dave Reichert can and will be defeated in the 8th Congressional District. I have no doubt about that. Why do I know that? Because Dave Reichert is Donald Trump's man here in Washington State. You know why? He is one of the few Republicans who actually cast a vote for Trump Care. That kicks off about 42,000 people in his district would lose their health insurance by his vote. We know he's Trump's man in Washington State because he actually voted to keep Donald Trump's tax records secret. At a time when we have all these murky conflicts of interest, some involving investments in Russia, Dave Reichert voted to hide Donald Trump's tax returns. Dave Reichert also is afraid to come out and talk to people. I don't think you're that scary, quite frankly. You seem pretty friendly to me. So you get one Dave. Just not the congressional Dave. For those who don't know, I apologize. I serve on the King County Council, and I represent part of the 8th Congressional District, but a big chunk of South King County. So, we're fortunate to live in a country that holds the promise of freedom and opportunity for everyone. But as most of you know, or you wouldn't be here tonight, that promise has not yet been fulfilled. We haven't reached our full potential. Look around this room. We're different ages, we're different races, different income levels, and our diversity is our strength. But sadly, too many people are being left behind. Women make about 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. Those of us who are gay or lesbian have to fight on the ballot box for our rights. People who are low income get so disillusioned from a political process that is dominated by money. I'm in the middle of it, and it sucks. People with disabilities see their transportation services cut first. Women and racial minorities comprise 55% of our workforce, yet make up only 10% of the CEOs of corporations. I believe that all people, regardless of our differences, have value, have something to contribute, and deserve equal rights and fair treatment. Those are our values. And Dave Reichert does not support our values, and Dave Reichert needs to go, and I'll work there right alongside of you to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, a very brief statement from Michelle Ryland. She's a potential candidate for the 31st LD in Washington State. Where's Michelle? There she is.
So of course the PTA mom has to follow the politician there. So I just really want to thank you for letting me here. We have to air quote that I'm running for the 31st because my campaign consultant won't be back within 7 days, and that's the rule. If I announce, I have 7 days to file, so we're going to air quote that. I think my only claim to fame here tonight is that I know where Dave Reichert is. I work for the King County Sheriff's Department, and I saw him yesterday because he came to my office and he brought donuts. So I do know where Dave Reichert is. It's not where he should be. He should be here and not with the donuts. That's what I believe. So, just for myself, what's very important to me is education. I love sitting up here looking at the sign that was donated by the PTSA. I am the Auburn Council of PTA's president, so I oversee all the PTAs in Auburn. And I also sit on the board that oversees all the PTAs in South King County. And I teach for the state. So for me, my platform is very important with education, fixing McCleary, and really promising the education that kids are to get. What's sad to me is people are going to charter schools to get the education that many of us in the room, that was basic education. Basic education for me was PE, art, music, field trips, and kids are having to go to private school and pay to get what is fundamentally right to them. And I don't, something that I don't believe in. So I thank you for your time here. Not as savvy. I'll get there though. Maybe you guys can hook up and you can teach me some of that rallying cry. I really appreciate that. So yeah, let's get Dave Reichert out. Sorry, somebody from the sheriff's office who doesn't support him, but that's pretty much how it's gonna go. So thank you.
Okay, briefly now, we're going to hear from Kansas City Council candidate, Satwinder Kaur. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a crowd. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be here tonight to speak. As you heard, I'm Satwinder Kaur. I'm running for Kansas City Council. I wanted to tell you guys a saying that we have in Punjab, India. It's merely a farmland. So people put fences up around their crops to save them from cows and intruders. And when that fence gets rotten, it doesn't protect the crops anymore. It starts actually attacking the crops. So what we need to do is remove that fence and put a new fence around our crop to protect it. And that's where we are right now, here tonight. We need to find some candidate who will defeat Dave Reichert. So that we have new fence protecting our rights and our values. As politicians, they need to be here listening to their constituents. They need to be listening to what we voted for, what we want them at the White House serving. And as a Kansas City Council person that I'm running for, I plan on doing the same. I plan on being the voice of the people for my city. I plan on actually being the diverse voice on the City Council. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about me. Because that's one of the reasons I'm here. Well, not really. But I am a Kent Ridge High School graduate, so I'm a Kent lifelong resident. My son attends public school there. I serve on the Cultural Communities Board for the city of Kent. And I value our diversity. I value our inclusiveness. And I want to say gatherings like this and calling our politicians, making phone calls, sending postcards, constantly connecting with them, we make a difference. We saw that with ACA. We saw that recently we had a hate crime in Kent. And Maria Cantwell actually was able to send a letter to Trump. And we were able to get we were able to get a task force assigned to fight against hate crimes by DOJ. So we do make progress. We need to stick together. We need to continue voicing our opinions, and we need to continue connecting with our politicians, making sure they are listening to what we care for. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Kent City Council Member Brenda Fincher. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you guys for being here, because this is what it takes to get something done. We've all heard this saying, or at least most of it, that it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. Well, if you don't come to the village, then you don't know what's happening to that child. You don't know that there are over 500 kids in the Kent School District that are homeless because there's not enough attention being paid to those families. And if you cut the federal funding that was going to those families, not only are there going to be 500, that number is going to grow. That number is going to grow, which is going to affect the whole community. When we have families that are homeless, families that don't have good living wage jobs, families that are not secure, they sometimes have to take actions that are going to affect those of us who are in homes, but may have to take crime into some of their lives where they wouldn't normally do that, but they're going to try to make sure that their children are fed. So it's a security issue for the rest of us. So we all need to be concerned about homeless, which means we need those people who represent us to come and see what happens. When we have those kids and we want to raise them to be good, strong citizens, we mentioned schools and education, we have proof. There are studies that show that when you have art in a school, those kids are going to learn better. It's going to teach them in different ways because we all learn in different ways. Well, you take art out, then what's going to happen to those kids? We're taking away some of the livelihood for some of those children because they're going to help learn math, learn science, all sorts of things through music. We have people out there who are trying to work 3 and 4 jobs because that one job is not paying them enough so that they're able to spend time with their family, so that they're able to pay their rent, so that they're able to do something else, even to shop in our stores and help pay the tax base. They can't do that because they can't make a good living wage job. And so it's important that we have our representatives here to talk to those people, to try to see what they can do to help us, because we have city dollars, we have county dollars, we have state dollars, but it's going to be the federal dollars that are also some of that pot that helps us get done what needs to be done. So I am happy to see all of you here. I'm from Kent, but we have Kent as a neighbor, and I do think of Covington as more than East Kent. And I'm glad that we have Covington, and I am glad that Covington came out and is part of the 47th to help get done what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you going to eat all the cookies?
This is my dinner.
That's his dinner. All right, thank you. Next up, we have in our host city, Sean Smith, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, sir, for hosting us in your city.
Thank you. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I wrote some things down so that I could, I thought about what I was going to say tonight. So good evening. I want to thank Catherine Williams for inviting me here tonight in Indivisible, Washington, for me to speak here. I also want to state how honored I am to share the stage with these esteemed community leaders and all of you. And I want to welcome everyone to Covington. I really appreciate you coming out tonight and spending time in our little city. I look forward to an engaging, thoughtful, productive conversation about the issues related to our nation, state, congressional district, and communities. I'm happy to see so many people in attendance and in conversation with some of you prior to this town hall, I can safely bet that you are all passionate, and I'm seeing in the applause, about the future of our country and communities, and that you have a deep understanding of the issues and the threats facing our democracy. Given this, I spent a little bit of time thinking about what could I say tonight? What could I add to this conversation? I'll keep my comments brief, but here's what I decided. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a bit of a history nerd. My wife will attest to this, but I spend a good amount of my free time reading dusty tomes of the fall of Rome, or most recently a history of the South China Sea. But I'm also known to read a lot of American history as well, from the Civil War and most recently, foreign policy and American environmental policy as well. Reading this much history, one can't help but see some patterns and themes emerge from our national action. Most notably, I'm struck by the fact that our nation appears to work best when its people are united by a single purpose. That's shocking, huh? I can hear some of you saying, Sean, you didn't need to read thousands of pages of history to know that. Well, perhaps. But whether it's throwing off British tyranny, saving the Union, defeating the Nazis, or racing to the moon, I think it's important to note that the American public is capable of great things when it's united by a clear and, dare I say, righteous goal. Well, what does this have to do with our meeting tonight? That's a great question. Among many of our challenges our nation faces, including such things as homelessness, environmental degradation, and inequality, I'd like to add that we have a need for purpose on this list as well. For much of our history, our nation believed its actions were guided by a mission or a purpose. But today, it appears a belief in a shared purpose, let alone an understanding of one, is waning. This provides an opportunity for some political leaders to rush in and foist a new purpose upon our nation, one that appears to be based on little more than a never-ending pursuit of self-enrichment. A purpose that many of you know is becoming more and more difficult to achieve. This self-centered focus, in my opinion, lends itself to crass political discourse, because at its heart is often an unspoken secret. Specifically, it's a fear that if my neighbor is doing well, I must be losing. That fear creates stress and jealousy and distrust, which can be exploited by some for private political gain. But is that all we are? An accidental, writhing mass of individuals just trying to get ahead? Or are we the lucky people brought together perhaps by Providence to achieve something loftier? Are we both? Neither? And where might we look for guidance? In my reading of history, I believe the drafters of the Constitution, while not perfect, left us a clue as to what type of nation they hoped would grow from their work. It's a clue contained in the preamble, the founding document's first paragraph. Specifically, they state our job is to create a more perfect union so as to secure the gifts of liberty for both today and tomorrow. That sounds like a little bit more than self-enrichment to me. I look forward to our discussion tonight. My hope is that at its conclusion, the illumination of a unifying purpose may just emerge. Thank you very much.
And we just have one speaker left. It's Joshua Cooper. He is the acting chair of the 8th Congressional District Democrats. And then we'll get on to our question and answer period.
A lot of people. So, first of all, I really want to thank the 47th Democrats and Brandon and Catherine and Indivisible for pulling everyone in here tonight. So, my name is Josh Cooper. I'm the beloved founder and acting chair of the 8th Congressional District Democrats. So ever since President Boss Baby won last November, people have been asking me daily how to get involved with the Democratic Party in the effort to get rid of Reichert and eventually Trump next year. and why there hasn't been an official group for the 8th Congressional District. So I've been building an official organization from the ground up, and we're having our first meeting on April 29th at Mount Si High School. So I hope you'll join. We're going to have speakers hearing from groups around the district. We're going to have some officials as well. And you'll hear what the Democrats are doing to retire Reichert in 2018. So we want to serve the entire district. We've got a big district all the way from Pierce County all the way up to Wenatchee. But Patty Murray won the district last year. Clinton and Obama have won the district in the past 2 election cycles. And just last night, many people know about the special election in Kansas. Deep red district, Republican barely won, but he underperformed Trump by 20 points. So according to Nate Silver, if we can do something like that in every district, the Democrats pick up 122 seats. And we need 22 seats to take the House back. So this is a blue district. We are +3, and that's what we're going to do next year. So the 8th District Democrats are going to coordinate with the amazing grassroots groups. They're doing amazing stuff without, and I'm starting to sound like Trump now, without squeezing them out. And there are things that the party does best, and there are things that grassroots groups do best. We can work together, and we don't have to cross our streams. So it will be hard work, and it's going to get frustrating for 2 years, and yeah, as people have said, but you know, whether you live in the suburbs of Issaquah, or you live way out in Kittitas County, or whether you supported Bernie, or whether you supported Hillary, whether you're a Democrat or you want to be an independent, what matters is that you want to make things better. Now, we also want to make it easy to volunteer. Volunteering should be a great experience, not a United Airlines, volunteer your CRS experience. So, and I understand that not everyone wants to be a Democrat. Some people want to be independents. And we've learned we can't just say, look at how bad the other guy is. We need to tell people what we stand for in the Democratic Party. Because if we fight for our values, we will win. Improving healthcare coverage, going on the offensive with these issues, building a green economy where people can afford to live in this area, stopping the cycle of endless wars, recognizing climate change, the list is endless. And we can only do this without Reichert in Congress. So the one thing I ask is you go to our site, which is 8thdems.org, 8thdems.org. Check us out. Click on the events to let us know you're coming to the meeting. We have buttons. Mark is in the back with buttons. We have Where's Reichert buttons and No 45 buttons, Fake President buttons. And you can also, at the site, donate to help us with our work. So if you'd like to get involved, just email us as well at 8thdems@gmail.com. So thank you again. I'm Josh. Thank you again for hosting this tonight. I hope to see everyone on April 29th.
Okay, that's all the speakers now, and now we're going to do what we came here to do. As I said earlier, people gather at a town hall to talk about some problems that are happening and find some solutions. As I said earlier, we invited Mr. Reichert. He declined, so we're going to continue without him. We have an extremely excellent panel of council members here to try to answer your questions as best possible as they can. Every question you ask will be transcribed and given to the congressman. We also are going to take some questions from Twitter. So my scouts are going to run the microphones around and get your questions, and the council people will answer them as best they can. Thank you, scouts, for providing your labor. My paid protester check hasn't come in yet, so I have no money. I don't know what it is. So let's continue that. So I'm going to have 2 scouts running up into the bleachers, and I'm going to have a scout right here. If you're interested in asking a question, you can come up and make a line here, and also my scouts will run them up to the bleachers. Thank you so much.
There we go. Come on.
Hey, I'd like to know if there's, I feel like I'm watching a real-time Scott Pruitt. I feel like I'm watching a real-time Scott Pruitt dismantle our environment. And I want to know if we can stop it. how can we stop Scott Pruitt? It's ridiculous. I'm retired. I watch TV all day long. And I'm watching in real time what he's doing. I don't know if everybody knows what he's doing. It's scary. It's real scary. You know? Foreign policy used to be my issue. Now it's the environment, man. It's terrible. Anyway, Scott Pruitt. Get him out of the
There we go. Brother, you're speaking my language. I love it. But it's a very serious question. Ever since the election, I think because I'm an elected official, I have friends and people I don't know on Facebook saying, what can we do about this? And I think it's what draws us here tonight. And we're limited in some ways, but we have more power than we think. We've got to support and have faith in other institutions. Our federal courts have thus far demonstrated some willingness to stand up against the executive and at times the legislative branch. And I think just as they did on immigration issues, I think that our advocacy organizations need to challenge these executive orders and these crappy laws. I think one of the first laws this new Congress passed was to allow more chemicals to be dumped in the streams. Yeah, that's what the public wants. It's just ridiculous. I think the courts provide an option. As one of the other speakers mentioned, the grassroots activism has made a difference, I think, around preventing the repeal of our healthcare law. And that's just good. And I have to admit, I historically have not been a big protester. When I was young, I kind of decided I'm going to work within the system, affect change from within. But I have found myself marching through the streets and marching through SeaTac Airport, arm in arm, because I'm becoming more of a believer that direct action, even in the moment, it doesn't literally change a law, but it creates the environment that the media sees, judges see, politicians see. It changes the debate. And so I think in addition to using the institutional mechanisms, challenging these laws in the courts, we have to participate with organizations that share our values. The Sierra Club does good work nationally. Support them with our dollars, even if they're limited, with our time, respond to their action alerts, and engage in old-fashioned grassroots activism, writing the postcards, writing the letters. As someone who sits on the other side of those, that stuff matters. Being a politician, I get those postcards and letters, and especially when they're sincere. Not necessarily the form letter, that's better than nothing, but it is. That's a horrible man doing horrible things to our planet at a time when we should be going in the complete opposite direction. And Dave Reichert likes to talk a green talk. And he'll vote for things when his vote doesn't matter. Do you remember that? Where he said, I voted for this. That's the oldest trick. I was in the State House. The oldest trick there, we vote with buttons, and you can see the vote tally. And the Republicans used to love to do this. There'd be maybe, I remember what it was, we had a bill to lower the requirement to make it easier to pass school levies from 60 to 50%. The Republicans fought it and fought it and fought it. And when it came time to vote, they all voted against it until it got the votes necessary to pass. And the minute they knew it was going to pass, about 10 of them changed their votes so that they could go home and say, hey, I supported the schools. That's what Reichert does on the environment. He votes against the environment, except when his vote doesn't matter, and he does these showy votes and says, look, I'm green. So getting rid of Dave Reichert, that would help him.
Part of it was just what he said, but also, I also look at it, as in many things, as an equity issue. When it comes to the environment, and it comes to climate change, number one, I don't see how we have the deniers. I don't understand that because it's science. But it's also an equity issue when you look at what's being done and where it's being done. When you look at polluting the Columbia River and look at what's trickling down into it, look at where that is coming from and where was the plant put that was there. If it's, look at all of that around the country and you'll see that those are in areas not where Trump and his board and his staff are going to be living, but it's in areas of people who cannot speak for themselves, which is why it's important that we do send the letters. Like you said, a form letter is good because it's easy and it's quick and it gets it off. But I think from what I've heard and what I've read, personalized letters are going to get the job done better because they're going to look at those instead of the stack. Keep the stack going if you don't have time to write a personal letter. I'm not saying stop the stack, but writing a personal letter, because when people know that maybe their job is going to be affected, because they have a lot of people now who are writing and contacting them and are going to vote, then they might take a look at it, and then they might decide, maybe I better check this out and see what really is happening before I pass this vote. So that's something that I think we can also do.
I'll just
Good idea.
I'm happy to stand up. I'll just echo what they said, but just to add, I work for the state of Washington in the Department of Ecology, and I'm not speaking on their behalf tonight, but basically the states and their state environmental programs are going to have to pick up the burden on a lot of these things. We're going to be asked to do more and more, and it's going to get harder and harder. We're fortunate that we live in Washington State, where we have a governor, a state that does value the environment. But unfortunately, not every state does, and so we're going to see inconsistent application of environmental laws across the country. That's just the nature of it. But what I would reiterate and agree with Dave and Brenda on is that letters do make a difference. As a city council member, we get letters, and it does sway our opinion. It does make us think about what we're doing. And I've actually spent time lobbying on Capitol Hill. I was a lobbyist for a nonprofit, environmental nonprofit, for about 15 years. And writing letters, getting involved, making phone calls does make a big difference. Calling, often when you call, you talk to the operator and they say, okay, we want your opinion. I would go a step further and ask for Dave or your congressperson's legislative aid that handles the environment, or any issue you care about, because then they'll pass that on to that person. And you can leave a message for them to say, I'd like to talk to you specifically about my issue. Normally, if you just leave a message at the front desk, it might get passed on and they'll tally it as something as pro or against a certain issue. You want to take the next step and actually talk to the person that talks to Dave about these things. So there's little things you can do to actually increase your sway and importance. And I guess the only thing I would add is that what I find difficult to understand is that a strong economy is dependent upon a strong and healthy environment. I just don't understand why people can't see that. And on both sides of the mountains, we can't have, and it seems obvious to me, we can't have a strong economy without a protected environment. So I think this isn't a partisan issue. It just makes sense. We can have a good economy and have clean air and clean water as well. And I think most people will agree with that. So.
Come on, we got questions.
We have a question over here. Hi, my name's Patricia, and I live in this district, and I think the district is too big. Number one, we have a district that has changed over time, and the Republicans continue to gerrymander the districts so they keep control. And right now, Riker, who is leading our district, is representing the 1%. And we are not the 1%. We are the citizens he works for, and he does not represent us. So how do we fix the gerrymandering that the Republicans have done and the Democrats have taken the high road and not fought against? How do we do that?
I don't know but
So I would agree. I think often Democrats and progressives play too nice in their politics. You see just about every other state in the union, they will draw their districts to favor the party that's in power. And Washington has a commission that draws our districts. And in the last redrawing, I think Riker got his district redrawn and moved for a significant portion over the Cascades, which increases the ability for him to hold on to that district. You know, politics is tough. It's hardball. And God bless them, the Republicans play hardball. They do. They believe in what they believe, and they're willing to fight for it. And often we are willing to compromise. We're often willing to say, you know, we'll take the high road. I'm of the mindset, and I believe that until we are willing to take those steps as well, do everything that's legal within our power, we're going to continue to see the other side push and push and push. And until we step up and say, that's it, we're willing to play hardball too, then I think what will happen once we've taken that step, we might then just be able to say, okay, enough. We're done playing the games. Let's actually sit down and talk about real solutions to our real problems. But in the meantime, until that happens, this district is what we're stuck with. And so we have a fairly diverse district that straddles both sides of the Cascades. And we're going to have to come up with messages that can resonate on both sides of the mountain. And in my short time in politics, what I've found is that most people are pretty good. We all kind of want the same things. We want our families to be healthy, we want good jobs, we want our water to be clean, most of us. And when we really think about it, where we're divided is over our fears. What are we afraid of? And if we can really focus on getting to the root cause of what everyone is afraid of, whether you're on the left or the right, we have the opportunity to create a real solution. To say, I hear you. I hear you're afraid about your future, or you're concerned about your kid's health. We have a solution for that. We have a way of dealing with that as opposed to trying to drive people apart.
Folks in the room may know already there's a new national organization and effort aimed at redistricting reform, and I think President Obama has identified that as a priority. I apologize, I don't remember the name now, but online there's an organization working on it. I have a slightly different take on this. I think the Democratic Party, my party that I love, has been just as bad as the Republicans in terms of incumbency protection. I followed some of these redistricting. I'll tell you a little story. I was getting ready to run for the King County Council, and I knew I was going to run, but they were in the process of redrawing the districts. So I used my political connections, my friends, the county council, and I got someone that supported me onto the redistricting commission. And they didn't necessarily do what I said. It was just someone who I trusted and who did that I knew cared about me. And I know that interest groups and politicians weigh in on these processes to try to shape it. And we will redraw the lines in this state in about 5 or 6 years, and each party gets to appoint a couple people into this 4-person commission, and they look out for the incumbents. That's what they do, I guarantee it. And then they fight over the little bit that's left trying to do it. So wouldn't be surprised if there was a deal, I don't know this, if a deal was cut to try to make Dave Reichert's district safe in exchange for a Democratic district becoming more safe. Right. I actually think, and maybe this is heresy within the party, I think competitive districts are good for democracy. I think you elect better people when they have to compete. It is easy if you're a Democrat in a safe district to get lazy. You just vote the party line, you keep the well-funded interest groups happy, and you just go along. Same if you're a Republican in Eastern Washington, you just vote against gay marriage and show up for work and you get reelected. And I used to joke that it's always, and I know some people consider this an oxymoron, but it's always the good Republicans that the Democrats target, and it's because they're elected in swing districts. And it's usually people who are actually, who I may disagree strongly on policy with, but they were able to get elected in that swing district because they're a community leader and they're thoughtful and they work hard and they respond to their constituents. And so it's always kind of funny that we in the Democratic Party are going after the ones that that's like the best one there is. But it's because it's a swing district. Those are swing districts. If all of our districts were drawn competitively, I guarantee you Dave Reichert would be here tonight.
Question over here.
Oh, you hold the mic? Okay, hi. Hi, it's really nice to be here with so many concerned neighbors. My name is Jeremy Prickett. I'm a resident of Kent. I'm proud to be a machinist. I'm proud to say I never voted for a Republican in my life. Union all the way. But what I'm also proud of is to announce just about 2 weeks ago, we founded the Kent chapter of Socialist Alternative. That's Shama Sawant, the city councilwoman in Seattle, who pushed the first $15 minimum wage through. We're an activist organization, sisters and brothers. We believe that real political change comes from working people taking action. There's never been a period in U.S. history when more progressive legislation was passed than under the Nixon administration. I'm talking about the EPA, school lunches, Roe versus Wade. All that was done because of folks like us getting organized and getting active. And that is what it's going to take to stop the Trump agenda, to keep our sisters, to maintain their right to control their own bodies, to keep our friends and our neighbors from getting deported to wherever they're from because they belong in our community. I mean, the list goes on of what Trump wants to do to us, against us. But we also need to think of what do we want that's better than what we've been getting for decades from both the Republicans and the Democrats. Because NAFTA is why Trump got elected, and that was the Democrats. We need a new party. We need a party of working people. Not a party of billionaires and millionaires. That's what we have now. If you're interested in that, we'll be right here at our little table, and we hope to see you all out in the streets, because that's where the fight is.
I have one quick little thing. Thanks for being here. This is my little pet peeve. I represent South King County. The first minimum $15 minimum wage was put forward by the people of SeaTac, Washington, through grassroots organizing. Backed by the Democratic Party leaders in that area and pushed hard by your local Democrats. So I am proud that SeaTac led the way. I am proud of Seattle. I'm proud of what Councilmember Sawant and the people in Seattle have done. It's just my pet peeve. SeaTac's my neck of the woods. So.
Okay, so I'm Gloria Hatcher-Mays, and I wanted to make an announcement first, and then I have a question, and it's nice the gentleman spoke right before me because my question kind of dovetails with that. So my announcement is that we have a voter registration table. I'm sure most of you are already registered to vote, yay. But what a lot of folks don't know is that by refilling out the voter registration form, you can also change your address. So that if you've moved, it's a great opportunity to make sure that your voter registration is in the right location where you live now by filling out that form. So please stop by the table if that has happened as a life event for you, or if you've changed your name. So please stop by our table if you need to change your voter registration because your name has changed. Thank you. And now my question has to do with being divided versus being unified. And I love that Shama Sawant has demonstrated true leadership in the city of Seattle. I love that we have socialists who also are in the Democratic Party. I really feel like there is a need for us to be unified in our approach to how we're going to handle electoral politics. And to the extent that like-minded people with like-minded values divide up into camps instead of voting as a bloc, we tend to lose. And we need to win, because this man that's in office right now as our president is already doing very, very scary things. So if we continue to believe that we can just go into our camps and fight our own battles that way, we are going to be in deep doo-doo come 2020. So to that point, I want to talk quickly about the special election in Kansas. Because although we didn't win, we came really, really close. And what we did was we eroded the confidence that the Republican Party can have that they are safe in their districts. And what that does is it forces them to think differently about how they legislate. So what I want to know is, what can we do to change strategy by the Democratic Party so that we are more competitive? We don't necessarily have to win, but we can change the narrative at the legislative level in Washington, D.C. if these folks don't necessarily feel like they're safe. They're not safe anymore. So that's my question.
So I'm part of the 33rd LD, the legislative district. We have East Hill, West Hill, Des Moines, Burien, the Valley of Kent. Anyway, over there at our last meeting last month, that actually came up. Because what we've done in the past is there's a bunch of candidates who run, and we actually split the votes. So instead of all of the votes going toward a good, strong candidate, those votes are split out, which means we're taking our own self out of the race. And so what we have talked about was helping build good, strong candidates. With this seat, with Dave Reichert's seat, for instance, we have time that we can build a candidate. We can give them the tools that they need. So you don't have to already be a trained politician to run. You have to have the interest, and you have to want to do what's best for the people. And if you're doing what's best for the people, in my opinion, you're going to stand with democratic values, which are some of the socialist values also. So you're going to want to come together, groups come together, and not stand strictly with this party line. Find those who agree with us, pull them in with us, and then go from there, build that stronger group. And then when the like-mindedness that you talked about, to be able to take out those who are so comfortable in their seat, and people just keep voting for them without really realizing what they've done, what they voted for in the past. So that's what I think we can do.
Make sure the question is, how do we take advantage of the momentum to get these folks to...
It's how do we apply pressure by, instead of believing that we can't compete with what we call a lock for the Republican Party, and instead we compete there, we go head to head there, put pressure on them to understand that they are no longer safe, because we are making inroads, we are making progress, and sooner or later, like in Georgia '06, we're going to win.
No, thanks. I think that every elected official should face a challenger. Well, maybe except me. It's good. It is actually good for people to be challenged. It's good for the elected official. I had some years in the legislature. I was in a safe seat, quite frankly. I would have had to really screw up. The demographics of my area tended to vote for the person with the D next to their name. But the years that someone ran against me, I knew I was going to win, but I worked a little harder. I engaged a little more. I was more sensitive to what was going on. And so I think every elected official, particularly at the congressional level, needs to be challenged, first of all. And the party, the term the party, it's like we are the party. I mean, there isn't this mysterious thing of 4 people in a room. It's this amorphous. But they don't get to choose the candidates. If a candidate steps forward, has grassroots support, and builds that support, then they get people's attention. And I think to attract, let's say Democratic National Committee money to make someone more viable or something like that, someone needs to get out, start a strong campaign, build that grassroots support, and capture people's imagination. I think the gentleman, I'm confusing Kansas and Georgia. Which was the one that...
Georgia was John Ossoff.
Yeah, Georgia's the young guy? That's, yeah.
And the other one,
Yes, thank you. I think he started out as kind of just not a self-starter, grassroots candidate. He wasn't, I don't think, hand-picked by powerful political elites, but through his hard work, his communication skills, his charisma, his ability to connect with people, he built this enthusiasm and this buzz. When that started, he started getting national attention and people started donating online. Next thing you know, you've got $8 million in your campaign account. And it wasn't some powerful person that decided, it was from the bottom up. And it's hard to do. There's self-starters that go out and just fizzle. And candidates matter. Their work ethic, their ability to connect with people in a real manner. But I think you're right, you've got to challenge them. Also, you never know what political winds will blow. 1 year ago in the state legislature, oh, this was way back when, but I think it was the year Newt Gingrich had that year of the Republican Revolution. A whole bunch of these crazy people who had filed as Republicans in these safe Democratic districts, they all got swept into office in that wave because there was this momentum. And you had these crackpots serving in the state legislature. Eventually the pendulum swung and they came out. So you can't just say, oh, the polls show this is tough, we shouldn't challenge it. Put up a strong candidate, you generate some enthusiasm, the national winds blow, and this is, 8th isn't even close. I didn't even consider the 8th one of those. I think the 8th is winnable. Absolutely, it's not some tough. And we got to seize the momentum. I talk too much, so I'll try to be brief here. That question of unity it's a tough one. I think I chose to work within the Democratic Party. That's been my kind of choice. But I have lots of friends who are alienated by being a member of a party. They're not a joiner. Other people look at what a party's national leadership has done, and therefore they think that they don't want to associate with it at the local level. But at the end of the day, I think we shouldn't focus on party. We should focus on the issues and the values and build that coalition. Because Democrats are different, independent progressives are different. We all have slightly different views on the issues, but who's going to take those core values, inclusion, social justice, economic opportunity, environmental protection, racial equality, who's going to embrace those, regardless if that's their angle, and get behind someone? And I think Democrats are guilty of, thumbing their nose at socialist alternative, or there'll be socialists who will thumb their nose at the Democratic Party, and then, we should have coalitions and alliances around issues and progressive candidates, but it's hard when especially you have two candidates. That fosters the division, usually, because then all of a sudden it becomes about a candidate. But I think you're right on track.
I think to your point, one of the key things is an ability to listen to what people are saying. And if we focus on universal values, kind of like what Dave just said, diversity, liberty, a positive future, again, 9 out of 10 people are going to agree with those things. What we differ on is how to get to those places. And, I actually have spent quite a bit of time in the 8th District. I grew up in Spokane, but I went to graduate school at Ellensburg. I worked for the Park Service at Stehekin, and now I live here in Covington. So I've lived on both sides, and people, for the most part, are people. But if you talk to people on the other side and you are in a conversation where you think you're going down different paths, you listen to them and say, well, I'm opposed to the federal government. I don't think it should be spending as much as it does on things. And basically I say, well, that's interesting. You do want Hanford to be cleaned up though, right? Yeah, well that's a federal program that's spending $1 billion a year to get the radioactive material that we built during the Cold War cleaned up. And most people, I agree with that. Well, every year we have wildfires too, don't we? The federal government spends a huge amount of money on putting out fires east of the mountains here. They benefit from these programs in the federal government. We just need to be willing to talk to them about those and go, I hear you. I recognize you don't want to see your tax dollars wasted. Neither do we. But we also want to see your communities protected. We want to see them cleaned up. We want to see your roads taken care of. We all agree on those types of things. So that's how I would do it.
We have a question over here.
Hello, Mark Jocelyn to your left. North Bend, Washington. I'm nearing retirement. I've gladly paid into Social Security. This is a question for our congressman who isn't here. All of my life. And I'm looking, it's not an entitlement program, it's an earned benefit. We know that, so let's get the language right. And to fix it is simple, Mr. Congressman. Simply raise the cap on earned income and make those who earn into the system. So my question for you is if you support raising the cap because it's such a simple fix, and if not, why not? And if not, then what do you plan to do to strengthen and support Social Security going forward for all of us, and particularly your constituents? Thank you very much.
I'll just say I would love to see his answer, and I hope it's yes, but I'm not optimistic.
Okay, we have another question over here. All right. Hi there, my name is Brooke Valentine. And first I want to thank Catherine again for organizing, and actually organizing an event isn't that hard, so I want to thank you guys for showing up, because showing up is hard. So give yourself a round of applause, I appreciate showing up. Bigger, bigger! Yeah, and now keep showing up, all right? Promise me that. All right, I'd like to take advantage of the fact that our congressman isn't here and talk a little more about strategy in this really diverse string district. Swing, not string. I mean, there's strings here, but me as an unsuccessful candidate, want to reach out to like Brenda and Dave, and then for new candidates like my friend Jennifer Harjahausen, who's running for city council in Covington. And I want to hear a short wish list of what we can do and continue to do all through the election cycle to not get close like Kansas, but win.
Stay engaged and stay loud. And with that staying loud, it not only means, well, and I realize that I'm asking you guys to work with this. So a couple of times a year, I managed to get down to Olympia. So for the state level, down to Olympia to talk to my reps. If they're not there, we get the aid. Talking to one of my cohorts who goes down pretty regularly, she was told, and she was going down lobbying for human service issues. She was told by one of the legislators, Pat, I see you guys on this particular issue once a year. The gun lobby's here every week. The tobacco lobby's here almost every day. What that means is that we have to get in there and get our words heard more often than we're doing it. And I know that it takes time off, so I'm thinking that possibly maybe we have this group here, organize into smaller groups. We're writing those cards. Some people are going to call. Some people actually make that trip to Olympia or invite that representative here. Now we know they don't always show up, and I'm sorry I'm supposed to be standing up to say that. We know they don't always show up, but we know that the invitation was made, and if they don't show up, that also tells us something, doesn't it? So you're not only representing folks when you're there and showing them that you care, you're showing them something when you don't show up. So also invite them out to this district that they are serving. So that's one thing that I think that we can do. And then keep your neighbors informed. Maybe they didn't have time to get here. If you have a group that you belong to, keep them informed and keep those invitations coming. I go just about anywhere. I'll talk to a group in a garage, I'll talk to a group, seriously. So it doesn't matter. If I get invited, I try to make it. So it's important that they come and listen, because that's how we tell what people are thinking, by listening to them. That's what our job is. So that's one thing, keep them engaged and keep them listening to you. And like I said, if they don't, then that tells me something.
Brooke still, oh, hey, Brooke. One, thank you for running. You ran a great campaign, and sorry you fell short. I think we're actually ahead of the game this year. The fact that we have a gym full of people talking about how we're going to defeat Dave Reichert next year is a lot further along than we have been before. And it is, as she said, grassroots. I think one of the lessons I've learned from Socialist Alternative is they do a great job of engaging people around issues. I think the Democratic Party could do more of that between elections instead of just focusing on getting someone elected, but between those elections, building the party, building the progressive movement through engaging in activism around advancing those causes. And it's tough, and the party's done a bad job of that. I also think that electing progressives at the local level is important. Remember, who lives in Kent? Can you raise your hand if you're a Kent resident? Yeah. But do you remember the name of our earlier speaker? Is that Winder Cower? Yes. You should. The ability to impact a city government election is much easier than the ability to impact a congressional election. We can impact and will impact one, but I ran for the legislature the first time, and people have this impression that there's something special about politicians. It was my dad, my brother, and me with my brother's pickup pounding in those signs that you hate along the side of the road. You know, me sitting in my home office, fiddling on my computer with complete campaign, or what was that, Constant Contact, trying to send an e-newsletter. People think I have some big staff, but it's me up at night in my underwear trying to do this stuff. The ability, if I had 10 people who would have come and knocked on doors with me, it would have made the ability to impact a city race through your activism is easier than you think. Shameless self-plug here. I'm happy to run for re-election this year. If you're not busy tomorrow night, tomorrow evening, you know where the Kent Senior Center is? If you come by at 6 o'clock, I'm kicking off my campaign. We have pizza and soft drinks. Donations welcome, but not required if you don't want. So one way you can help is supporting progressive candidates. Building a bench helps too. When you have local legislators, council members, city people who are delivering a progressive message. We don't have much of a bully pulpit, but like Brenda said, we run into each other everywhere, talking to Kiwanis clubs and school PTAs and things like that. And building that network of progressive elected leaders, that helps shape things at the top. Money matters, that's my last point. You probably experienced this, Brooke. It's miserable. I always talk too long, but a little story. I ran for a statewide office last year. It was called Lands Commissioner. My background's environmental issues, and I was excited about it, and I put my heart into it, and I focused on fundraising. And I spent hours calling everyone I knew, and I was really impressed. I held my own. I was running against a fantastic woman who ended up winning. I thought she was surely going to outraise me because she had all these rich friends and I didn't, and I worked my butt off and hundreds of donations, $50, held my own. We both raised a couple $100,000 in about 60 days. My opponent had a supporter who was a millionaire, who created a political action committee. And in the last 3 weeks of the campaign, he and a couple friends put about $300,000 into it, bought a whole bunch of TV ads, plastered the airwaves, and my race was over. I had been endorsed by newspapers on both sides of the state. I'm not bitter. I'm actually very glad looking back. But the role of money in politics is poisonous, and it is pervasive, and it deters candidates, and it makes people not want to run. But it's real. It is very difficult to deliver a message in a congressional district without the resources to get it out there. You can do it with the grassroots alone. It is very difficult. So I think if a candidate is looking at running, they need to get out their Rolodex and start building that network for fundraising. I bet you sat and made hours and hours of phone calls, did you not? Yeah. It's like being in a walkathon. Has everyone done like a walkathon or bikeathon where you call everyone you know, you call your mom's coworkers and ask them to sponsor you? I mean, I was... Yes. I call my husband's school teachers. I mean, I was getting desperate. I mean, I was, and there's nothing yuckier than, I don't know if anyone has done fundraising that's good. But candidates need to be aware of that. At the very least, they need to be aware of it, and they should focus on trying, in order to build the kind of campaign you need to build resources. It is easier when you have resources. It's not impossible without it, but it's much easier. No one knew, using my race as an example, there were I think 4 great Democrats all running for the position. We're all reasonably well qualified. I heard a poll, someone leaked it to me, I wasn't supposed to know about it. Someone did a poll early on, and they said, really good news, Dave, you have twice the name ID of any of your supporters. You're at 2%. You know, and that's after 12 years in elected office in the urban part of the county. I was at 2%, and so if someone has the ability to buy 3 weeks worth of TV ads, that's it. I mean, you can do all the grassroots stuff you want, but without the ability to connect with voters, it is really, really tough. So I would tell candidates, they're thinking of running, to figure out how you're going to get the resources to do it. And it's possible at the grassroots now, we know it is, it's just very difficult.
Hi, my name is Yana G. Cook, and I'm from the LD2. I'm a PCO and a state committee woman from the LD2. And we are in a struggle for our democracy. We all know that. That's why we're here tonight. I was a part of the organizing committee for the Women's March in Olympia. Fire the pool, the healthcare rally, and we're having a tax rally. What are these rallies about? Why are we here tonight? Because we all want to do something, affect something, and be a part of it. And what I recommend, and I think all elected officials should remind people that this is how they can do it, be a grassroots person. And that is go to your legislative district, whatever it is, sign up, become a PCO or a deputy PCO, and do you know what that means? That means a neighborhood leader. You get together with your neighbors, you knock on doors, you call them and you say, come to the potlatch, come to the potluck, and find out what's going on, where their concerns are, and where you have common ground. And then, when you have a candidate, they come out and they vote. They feel engaged in the Democratic Party. We are the EMTs, okay? We are resuscitating this sick Democratic Party. All of you, find out how you can participate and get to be a part of this grassroots. If the Tea Party can turn the GOP into the CCC, and that stands for Corporate Criminal Cartel, we can rebirth the Democratic Party. Are you with me?
Okay, so there's somebody who may want to run for office. So you said you're in the district. Which one?
Congressional District 8?
8.
There's your candidate.
LD2 is over Spanaway, Eatonville, part of Lacey, Roy, Rainier, all of that area.
And I want to thank her for talking about the PCOs, the precinct committee officers. Those are the ones who help get people elected. So joining the LD, I have to say one thing that thankful for the last election is we have a lot more people showing up at our 33rd meetings now because of the last election. I'll just leave it at that. So with those people, those are the ones who not only help talk and spread the word, they're the ones who help with doorbelling, they're the ones who help spread the campaign literature for the candidates. As Dave mentioned, the first time that I met him, he had dashed into a meeting at the 33rd, and he was running, and he was dashing back out because he had more doorbells to go ring, and he told me, he announced the number of doorbells that he had rung, and it's like, oh my gosh, it was tens of thousands. But anyway, so that's what we need. We do need precinct committee officers. In the 33rd district, I believe over half of the precincts within that district are open seats. That means there's nobody living in that area to talk to those neighbors, to go to that neighborhood. I don't know what the numbers are in the 47th or in the 11th. We also have part of Ken in the 11th, but precinct committee officers, PCOs, show up at your meetings. The meetings are usually once a month. They're in a place that's easy for you to reach. You can look online if you're in the 33rd or in the 47th, and there's people here from both tonight who we can let you know when the meetings are. And it's not a big drain on your time, but that's another way to stay engaged. And it's an important way. Thank you.
We have a question over here.
It really isn't a question. It's kind of a concern that I have, and I thank the people here tonight who signed the petition that will go to Dave Reichert. I've met with him many times, and he does not believe that he has to represent anybody but himself. And clearly on I-735, that was the initiative that we passed in Washington State in every congressional district, east side and west side. And it says that people are people, corporations are not people. And money is not free speech. And it was a 70%, roughly 70% in the state of Washington. That should be a message to Dave Reichert that he should be working very hard at the federal level to get the 28th Amendment passed. He says that the people didn't know what they were voting for. So folks, he has insulted you. And he has insulted all of us. We knew exactly what we were voting for. He also said in a meeting that I had with 8 other people there that he does not do what people tell him to do in relationship to this initiative. And so we really have to be aggressive. He is not the lovely silver-haired gentleman that presents himself. He is very serious about the fact of holding his job, and he says, if you don't like what I'm doing, vote me out.
Okay. We have a question over here.
My name is Philip Smith. I live in Maple Valley. I'm a PCO up there. Teamster for 28 years. More of a statement. Information is the coin of the realm now. I'm not here to endorse anybody, but I'm just letting you know, if you guys don't know about KBCS, the radio station, 9 to noon, Tom Hart, you can get a wealth of knowledge from that man. So it's something you can pick up right there. Another one I listened to is Randy Rhodes. She's back. I don't know if you know she's back. Like I said, I'm not endorsing anybody, but you guys need to be able to win the water cooler battles. And that's basically what's going on. And as for running for office, I didn't even know I was running for office. I put my name on the ballot, here I am. So everybody in here that wants to be involved should be involved. It doesn't cost you anything to be a PCO, and you can affect change.
My name is Ray Johnson. I'm a letter carrier here in Covington. I've served in Covington for over 20 years. And my job, as many people know, is based on everything Congress does, and it's a constant uphill battle. Just because you think some of the smallest things would make sense, they turn around and do it the opposite way. Back in 2006, we got nailed with a funding retiree health care for 75 years in advance, at a tune of $55 billion. We had to pay it over 10 years. We're actually operating a profit, but we've been constantly lobbying Congress, constantly trying to say, hey, look, we're a valued part of the community. We had want to do a self-plug here. May 13th, our food drive. All the food goes directly to a local food bank. Please put food out there by your mailbox. We will pick it up. We get alerts for the Amber Alerts on our phones because we are out there every day of the week. But one thing I do want to get across to everybody, if you see a bill come across and you don't want it to go through, get a phone tree out there, flood their phone lines. Tell them you don't want that bill to pass. We've stopped bills going through Congress because we've flooded our local congressmen's phone lines. If you guys get out there, get a phone tree, tell everybody, call. Tell them you do not want this bill to pass. You can make a difference. Grassroots does make a difference. And we are going through this in the process right now. We're trying to build from the bottom up. The young lady who's running for City Council, those are the people we want to get behind. We want to get behind them the entire way up. We don't start at the top and work our way down. We start at the bottom and work our way up. We get these people in the office and they will fight for us because we're with them the entire way. You guys start young and keep it rolling. Keep young people involved.
We have a question over here.
Thank you. My name is Janice Flagg, and I guess there are a couple things that I always hate to hear, and that is when someone says, well, we just can't do it, or that's not the way we do it. I'm thinking right here on this very floor that we are standing on, it's paid by our taxes. Why don't we just pretend that we're a parent-teacher association and we don't have to pay for this space? I think that it's wrong that we have, as the most important things in our country to solve that we have to pay for a venue like this. Our taxes should cover it.
I appreciate your comment about not wanting to hear "we can't do it." I read an interesting article where you want your elected officials to be honest with you about the prospects and the reality in a line, and I've changed what I say to people. I'll tell people I don't know how to do that if I don't think I can do it, and I think it's a more honest way. Someone will say, "Hey Dave, will you have the county council pass an income tax?" People who know counties don't have that legal authority. So if I say I can't do it, there's ways where I say is I don't know how to do that given state law right now. And it's an honest answer because I think I struggle with this sometimes, especially when I get on the inside and I'm close to all this. I want to give people candid, realistic assessments. Someone will come and maybe ask me to sponsor a bill when I was in Olympia. And I know, because I know my colleagues and I know the political composition, I know who the chair of the committee is, I will know that that isn't going to pass. And I feel like I need to be honest with people when they ask me that, but I'm trying to learn how to communicate in a way that says we can't do it, but to say, I don't know how to do that. As your elected official, I don't know how. Let's try to find a way, let's look at a path forward, but I really appreciate you raising it. It's something I've given a lot of thought to, because there are, 9 times out of 10 I can't, someone calls me, but I'm not able to deliver on it, even if I wanted, and I think you want elected officials who will be candid and honest about that, but not just say, this is the way it's been, we can't do that. That's not the way it runs. We can challenge fundamental assumptions and change the way we're doing things, and we saw it with I think we saw it this last election. People said, I remember when Bernie Sanders announced, laughed off, he can't do it. They said he can't. And look at the support he was able to build grassroots. And we've seen the fundamental expectations of being told we can't do things. We've seen those challenged. We've seen cracks in them, and we can make progress. So I really appreciate that comment. I think it's people would say we can't elect a Democrat in the 8th. Who's heard people say that, right? Oh, we can't win. Incumbents never lose. I think we can.
You have another question over here?
Oh, my name is Patrick Harang. I live in Kent, Washington. Lived here for 12 years. Donald Trump should be impeached for his unnecessary behavior towards people and his affairs with Russia. If he can't be, if not only he should be impeached, but also guys like Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and Dave Reichert. That's what I feel he should.
I don't have much to add to that, but I will take this opportunity to remind people that that's a reason why it's so important that we watch the local races. We had Saplander here, we also have Ty here. Ty's also running for city council in the city of Kent. It's important that you see what's happening at the local level, because those are the ones that rise up to that. In most cases, we know that's not exactly the case now, but in most cases, this is like that, I won't say alternate reality, but this is a case where, many of us woke up and said, we can't believe this actually happened, and we look back and, we're looking forward now as to how and what we can do and keeping the pressure on. That local level, that's how Dave Reichert got to where he is, because of the support he had at the local level. That's how we can get other people who can make a difference to a level where they can make a difference by listening and voting. I've done voter campaigns. There's so many people out there who don't vote. So it's important to talk to your friends, not only to register to vote, but to actually send their ballot in. It's a matter of life and death for some. It's a matter of social justice and equity. It is important. It affects our lives every single day. So watch that local level, and then hopefully we can get people in who care about the things that we care about, the things that affect the people that they're supposed to be representing.
Hello. Hi, my name is Ty Whitfield. I am a candidate for Kent City Council, and I could not sit down any longer. My stomach was like, look, we not only need to know who's at the local level. I've been a community advocate for years, fighting for the people, fighting for low income, fighting for senior citizens, fighting for you. But what happens is none of that fight matters if the top is not changing the policies or the vote. So something said, hey, it's no more about community advocacy. We need to get the right people in the right positions, in the right time, in the right season to make a change. In the city of Kent, we have over 125,000 people, and only 30,000 is voting because people are tired. They're tired of putting people that's in office not doing what they need to do. They're thinking that their votes are not mattering. They're thinking that people don't care about them. They're thinking that people are not going to change. But it is up to us to change the system. If we don't change the system, then the system won't change. So please, get out there and vote so we can do something and make something happen.
And I'll just take this moment to say again, that was Ty Whitfield.
And as I just told Brenda, she's a feisty one. Amen.
We have a question over here, and also we only have 10 minutes left to accept questions,
So we've been talking a lot about money in politics tonight, and my question really goes to the empty chair in the room. Mr. Reichert, the Seattle Times reported on March 24th that while you've been the target of Democrats before, you've not faced serious opposition in the last few election cycles. However, you recently sent a fundraising appeal to your supporters stating, quote, "The Democrats and their special interest allies on the left are gunning for us." Does this indicate, Mr. Reichert, that you are concerned about your chances of winning in 2018, given the current political climate? Perhaps I should pose this question to the floor, since Mr. Reichert's chair is mute. Anyone care to speak to the comment?
all right, we have another question over here.
All right, I'll be quick. We saw in this last election, there was a lot of movement around campaign finance reform. I've heard millions of voices through the internet and other places saying, we're sick of corrupt politicians with a lot of money. And they're doing things that we don't like, and it's just about money. It's just about a big game, right? And you saw the movement with Bernie Sanders, so you know it's out there. You know that we're thirsty for it. And I started to draw up a list of corruption that we've seen already in the Trump administration. Paul Manafort, the day he quit as the campaign manager, $13 million into an offshore account. We've seen Jared and Ivanka now calling the shots for us. I didn't elect them. Meanwhile, where are Trump's taxes? Why don't we know what this man is about, and what his connections are, and what his allegiances are? And Dave Reichert, you sit on one of the most powerful committees in our government, and you are silent. You will not demand his taxes. You won't even investigate. And as a sheriff and someone who is supposed to follow their intuition and their nose, you can't look at this list and go, maybe we ought to scratch at that just a little bit. So Dave, if you want to have a clear conscience, and if you want to even have an inkling of a hope of getting reelected, it's time to wake up and start looking around and get as loud as Jay Inslee after the immigration ban. So, you're either with us or you're against us. Be with us. With us back.
Well, I'm really new at this. I've never been politically active, so this is all really new to me. And so I need to be educated and stuff so that I know I'm using my time wisely. And so you were mentioning that when you call Dave Reichert's office that you should ask for the aid. Well, I didn't know that. And so I was wondering if there's a way to, for you to educate me in that, what are the best ways to get a hold of him or reach him, or the best way he'll listen, because I've written him on emails, I've made phone calls, and I don't know if anything's working. So, you know, when I've written him about, let me finish. So when I write him an email and he responds, I don't know, it's so convoluted, I don't know what the crap he just said. Yeah. So, as far as you're concerned, what are the ways that I can be most effective in communicating? Like, you know what I mean.
So a couple things. When you are contacting your elected officials, you may have a whole host of things you're interested in. Keep it simple. Keep it to one or two issues at most, and you can call back if you've got other issues you're interested in. But one or two issues, you're calling on one thing at that point. I'm opposed to this bill, or I support that bill. So be clear that that's what you're calling about.
Be really nice.
Yeah, and be polite. I mean, there's no reason to insult these people that are answering the phone.
So that's like the number one thing I should do?
No, all of these things. I mean, if you can get, if you have the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., you can ask for meetings with your elected officials. They will often try to meet with you if you're in Washington, D.C. Become a pest. Say, I want to meet with you. I've got 2 or 3 things I want to talk to you about. They are in district every once in a while. You can go to their office and say, I would like to talk to you as well. But if you don't have that opportunity, phone calls, letters, just showing up at meetings definitely makes a difference. What I do, if I'm interested in an issue, I just wrote on the grizzly bear issue, the recovery in the North Cascades. Well, I CC all my elected officials on that, so that they get a copy of that letter as well to say, there's people out in their district that are concerned about this issue as well. So I try and hit as many of those decision makers as possible. It was just handed, there's a congressional switchboard as well. It's like an 800 number. You just call, it's 202-224-3121, and I can hand it to you. You just ask for your elected official and they'll connect you straight to their office. So ask for the legislative aid that works on the particular issue. So let's say you're interested in healthcare. I want to talk to the person that deals with healthcare. They'll say, that's so-and-so. And you'll go, can I speak to that person? And they'll say, no, they're in a meeting. Every time they will say they're in a meeting. You leave a message. That's what you need to do. And you'd say, I'd like you to call me back. It'll probably be 3 weeks, but you continually call and say, I want to talk to you. Eventually they will call you back. So you got to become a pest. That's how you get your voice heard. So.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you.
Having been on the other side of being an elected official, I want you to know Dave Reichert is a bit of an anomaly. He's not accessible. Members of Congress are busy, but for others listening, you would be surprised how accessible your state legislators, county council members, and city council members are if you make the effort. I've always, and I'm not unique here, so I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but if you live in the district I represent, and you call or email and say, I'd like to get together, the answer is always yes. It might take a couple weeks to find a time that works on both of our calendars, but I try to meet people close to them in Kent or SeaTac and do it after work or on a weekend. And that's true of most of your local legislators too. I remember once, right after I'd been elected, I got elected kind of young. It was a Saturday morning, I was single, I was laying in my boxers on the sofa playing video games. And someone called me at home and said, Representative, I know you're so busy. I know you're so busy right now. I hate to bother you on your cell phone. I'm like, yep, I'm really busy. The point being is, it's easier at the local level, and you can actually build authentic relationships is the best way to influence someone. If you can't name right now who your state legislator is, start there. Make sure the very first step is knowing the names of the people who represent you. Then do you know how to reach them? What's their phone number? What's their email? And then don't be afraid. You're not going to be judged, if you call. You don't have to be an expert in politics. Just call them. I'm calling because I'm mad that, whatever's making you mad that day. and sharing your opinion. Get to know people at events. Go to your local political things. Get to know your local folks. It's easier than you think, actually, if you haven't done it, and you will find most elected officials at the local level are pretty much just like you, except we were crazy enough to step up and take a stab at it. We're no smarter, we're no more special. It's just this is what we've chosen to do with our time and our energy. So don't let Dave Reichert's inaccessibility and arrogance dissuade you from building relationships with other elected officials.
And I just wanted to add that if you're going to visit that person in person, or if you're having them out, you are going to tell them what bill it is. But I've talked to legislators who said, I'm really not a numbers person. What is that bill about again? So having something written down that you can leave behind is good. That, it was Bill 7292 about the human trafficking. And leave that with them and what your stance is on it, or that you're asking them to support this. And it's good to ask them if you can tell them why. Just whatever contact you've had. Being able to hear a human story is good. So that's good to let them know. And it was mentioned that sometimes they're in district. When you call that aide, let them know that you want to meet with them when they're in district. They can set up appointments for you. At the local level, you just call me, or you call Dave, I don't have an aide. So you can just call me and I will come to you. I don't have to have you come to me. But your city council meetings are usually available. Not only can you see them on TV, but you can also pull them up on your computer if you don't have time to go to them in person. So emails, phone calls, all of that, especially at the local level.
We have a question over here.
Actually, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. My name is Debbie Vineyard. I'm in the 2nd Legislative District, PCO. And I just want to remind people that after they vote, volunteer to observe the ballots being counted. I did that a few years back, and the Republicans outnumbered the Democrats, and it was quite embarrassing. We just didn't have enough Democrats to volunteer. And what you do is you take on at least at this time, I took on a 4-hour shift, and you watch the ballots being unsealed in the morning, and you watch the process of them counting it. And if there's a concern of any type, they would call the Republican and the Democrat over, the observers over, and they tell them what went on and what they were doing about it. So we were on board on what was going on with both of us. And so I just urge you to volunteer for that.
Okay, and we have another question over here. Oh, okay. So I just have just out of curiosity, I'm with Lake Tap's Resistance League, Indivisible. Got a big group over here. But I'm curious, how many of you here are connected to an Indivisible group? Awesome. Okay, so I also am a PCO for the 31st LD. And I always encourage my members to get involved in any way, even if it's just phone banking for your local legislative district, whatever time you have, because it's so important to get voters out. So I also wanted to comment that actually I'm one of the group who meets with Dave Reichert. And it was as easy as frankly calling and talking to his district director, Sue Foy. The staff is really accessible. And we started out meeting with Sue, and then sure enough, we were able to get a meeting with Dave. So really, all of you, especially those of you in Indivisibles, it's just a matter of, calling up and saying, hey, I really want to meet with Dave and see him face to face so that he can answer some of my concerns. And quickly, our group just made a group video that we are going to bring to our meeting, because I've got, 200 people in our group. And we had a big potluck, about 40 people showed up. We did a group video, and I'll be bringing it and showing it to Dave at our next face-to-face meeting. So, I mean, he's not coming to town halls, so it's our mission to, you know, bring us to him in whatever way we can. So call him, email him. The Snoqualmie Valley Indivisibles, some of their people are afraid or have phobias about calling. They get together in a group at a coffee house or someone's home, and then they just pass the phone. And they say their name and their zip code, and, you know, don't take away my ACA, or, you know, where the hell are Trump's taxes? You can get a group of people together, even your neighbors, and make a group call, and every one of those people was counted as a constituent who called in and logged their, you know, their opinion into his lap. And it matters, and his office is being overwhelmed. The last little thing I wanted to say is redistricting.wa.gov. It's really a great map, and it shows all the legislative districts, the 8 congressional, it shows congressional districts, legislative districts, counties, and cities. It's awesome, it's free, and it's online. So it really helped me to see who all was in the 8th CD and kind of, you know, where our legislative district fits in. Okay, thank you.
It's time to close this town hall. We're going to have Mr. Aaron Schuler come up. He's the chair of the 47th District Democrats. I'm sure he's going to say thank you, but I also want to say thank you so much for council members coming out and spending the evening. So grateful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all for coming. It's nice to see everybody who came here tonight. I also just wanted to thank people for coming and closing. Thank all of you for attending. Thank all of our speakers, especially our panelists, Brenda, Dave, and Sean, for coming out and speaking tonight. I don't want to take responsibility for any of this. Honestly, this all goes to Brandon, the chair of our Resistance Committee, and Catherine, who's been Indivisible, and set up. It's great to see this many people come out and help out. So, I was trying to think about what I should say to all of you to leave you with as words as you walk out of here tonight. And as I thought about it, the biggest thing that came to mind to me was the words that sat on the door of my bedroom as a child throughout my entire time growing up, and that I still to this day believe in the core of my being of how and what we're all about. I can't take credit for these words either, but they come from a very famous poet named Shel Silverstein, who you may have grown up reading as a child. And he says, "This bridge will only take you halfway there, to those mysterious lands you long to see, through gypsy camps and swirling Arab fairs and moonlit woods where unicorns run free. So come and walk a while with me and share the twisting trails and wondrous worlds I've known. But this bridge will only take you halfway there. The last few steps you'll have to take alone." What I want to leave all of you with is an important message, which is that events like this are great. It's a chance, it's cathartic, it's a chance for us all to get together and feel better about things, be with people who think like we do and want to make change. But at the end of the day, if we're going to defeat Dave Reichert, if we're going to elect progressive leaders throughout our area, many of these people are on the ballot this fall. We have big elections coming up in legislative districts around the state, the 45th and the 31st in particular, where if we take those, Democrats take back the Senate, the state Senate. At the end of the day, rallies, town halls, marches, they get us excited, but they don't translate into votes. We need to change that. We need to make those into votes. And the way you do that is by getting involved. I know earlier this evening, it was pitched to you about the envelopes. If nothing else, donate money. It helps us with organizing, it helps us be able to bring people, do more of these types of events, get more people involved. We can pool resources with the state and with other local groups to actually hire organizers and help get out the vote. If you have more time, Get involved with your local LD. Come out, be a PCO, volunteer, help out. If you have more time still, get involved with an individual campaign. I know certain people who are looking for volunteers to help out with their campaigns and get out voters for them. And I cannot emphasize enough, the final of all, get involved locally. Many of these people started out just as concerned citizens just like you, and now they sit on city councils, and the next thing you know, they may be running for higher offices still, because the reality is that that's where the bench comes from. And one of the things Republicans have been so good at over the past handful of years that we used to be much better at as a party is finding people to run in these local races. They become faces of the community. People say, oh, I like that guy. I may disagree with him on a few things here and there, but I'll still vote for him anyway because I know him and I like him and I want him being in my leadership. And that's how you get up higher and higher and higher into government, and eventually you get leaders who agree with you, who are now at the highest levels that can actually make real change on issues. So I guess as I leave you tonight, the biggest thing I would ask is ask yourself what you can do to get involved, ask yourself what you can do to help out, and ask yourself what you can do to make sure that we get the 180 to 200,000 votes that we need to defeat Dave Reichert next November. Because we can do it, but it requires organizing and being ready to do so. So thank you all for coming. I hope to see you all on the first Wednesdays of every month at the 47th if you live there. Otherwise, on the 33rd and the 11th, and wherever else, the 5th, and wherever else you live, go to your meetings. Thank you. Oh, sorry.